All right. Happy Sunday, everyone. We will start in about a minute or so. Give yourself a bit of time to settle in. I'm sure you got the memo already, but make sure you have 2 blocks and a blanket. You may want an additional blanket, and you may want some bolsters or pillows nearby as well. I'm just gonna back up my mat a little bit here. And before we get into our first positioning and bit of exercising, I'll read from this book. And before even reading this, just a little reminder that as we move through these classes, you may find elements that are really easy for you, and you may find elements that are challenging. The point is to do what you need to do to make it as accessible as possible. Okay, so really observe your mindset as we move through. All of the movements we will be doing are focused on physiotherapy-based movements, as well as yoga and restorative type movements. So everything is gentle, so to speak, but we all have different things we're dealing with. So if you find something is really challenging for your hips, then you know what to do, and that is slow down, back off, go to the edge that suits you, and be very aware of your mindset. So if we get into a position that is challenging and your mind starts going in cycles and circles saying that this is, this is too hard, I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. It's not too hard. You are good enough. You just need to simply find your way to experience the moment in your best way possible, right? So if your hands or your wrists are sore from being in a tabletop pose, use more of your core. Take weight off your hands. Take a break in child's pose. Do what you need to do to allow this practice to truly accommodate you. And let's see which message comes through today from our book, How to Love. Liberation from complexes. Often we can't love ourselves or others fully when we're stuck in our own complexes. When you have an inferiority complex, you have low self-esteem, and this is a kind of sickness. High self-esteem is also a sickness because you consider yourself to be above others, and that causes suffering as well. Although equality is something good, it can also be a complex. When you say, I'm as good as he is, you still think you have a separate self. When you compare 2 selves to each other, suffering will result. Real liberty is freedom from all these complexes. Yeah? Example, being in the present moment. Letting go of the incessant cycles of the mind that want to put us into a category of enough or not good enough, for example, right? And simply allow ourselves to be in the moment. That's where our resilience shows up, right? That's where our mental strength comes up, is in our ability to stay committed to what we're doing, in our ability to be consistent. Oftentimes the way we do one thing is the way we do everything, right? So if we notice that there are elements of our meditation practice or yoga practice, diet, whatever it is, if we notice that we kind of have a half-assed approach, it's very likely that we actually have that same approach to everything else in life. So starting to observe where our own personal setbacks are so that we can dive in a little bit deeper and open those spaces of unknown within. Yeah? And with that, let's begin. So we are going to start in a seated position, just simple Sukhasana, cross-legged position. So make sure that you are comfortable. That may mean sitting up on your blanket, folding it over a couple times. That may mean sitting on a block, even covering a block with a blanket and sitting on top of that, okay? Whatever you need to do, you might even need a block or 2, under the outer thighs, so it's comfortable and easy for you to be here, because we are going to be in this position for a few minutes. And one of the reasons why this position is so fabulous is because it gives us all sorts of pointers for our own personal posture and where we're at today. So as you have your legs nice and comfortable, just take your hands around your hips and close your eyes for a moment and feel the positioning of your hips. Notice if they're tilting forward or back, and draw everything to balance in the middle so that you're not leaning forward, you're not leaning backwards, you're stacking your shoulders above your hips. The belly draws in just slightly. So learning to maintain a neutral pelvis is so key in supporting the spine, yeah? And then of course from there we get to support beautiful posture, and we get to support better mobility through our hips. So really focusing on that neutral point through the pelvis, feel your navel pull in even more, and then just let your hands rest and relax onto your legs. Let the shoulders soften. Feel your front ribs gently pull in and slightly down. And just pause here. And though this is called easy pose, it doesn't always feel easy, and that's why we have the options to have all kinds of support. Okay, so again, check in with yourself and make sure you feel really relaxed in this position so that we can then get into the neck. So we're starting with our neck stretches. And this series of stretches in total for the entire class, like I had mentioned earlier, we're focusing on the neck and the hips today and really opening up some old patterns that could be locked in the fascia and the muscles in accordance with those two areas. Okay, so just doing your best and forget the rest. Let's tap in. So the first action we're doing, just bring your index finger of whichever hand to your chin. And then push your chin and your head back in space. So just push it back. You're not looking up, you're not looking down, you're going straight back. And then just slowly relax, let your head come back to neutral. We'll do it again. This time, bring your finger to your chin and keep your finger in the same place and just move your chin back. And hold, keep pushing the back of your head back. So we're tapping into the levators here. We're tapping into all the muscles through the back of the neck. And then just relax and notice your chin probably doesn't come all the way back to your finger, which is a good sign. It's demonstrating that you are already gaining some length and space. So then we'll do it again. Bring that finger into the chin and pull the chin back and away from the finger. Keep the finger in the same place. Breathing in and out. And then relax. Let your right hand relax down, or your left hand, whichever hand was up. Breathe in and out and just roll the shoulders both at the same time a few times. Good. When you're ready, coming into stillness. So we're working on some isometric stretches for the neck, which means we are engaging the muscles, but we're not really moving, okay? So let's start with using our right hand, and you can bring your hand just kind of to like the outer temple region, just the right side of your face, and think about looking to the right, but give yourself resistance with your right hand, so that you can't actually look to the right. You'll get a little bit of a turn, but give yourself that resistance. Another breath in. And then breathe out, slowly release, ease off, let that right hand come down. We're going into the other side. So left hand toward the left temple, left side of the head. And then just try to look to the left, but give yourself that resistance. And you don't have to go super deep or intense with this, just enough to feel it, right? We're gonna do a few more reps of each, so give yourself time. And then slowly ease off, left hand comes down. We'll go back to the right, And there's no rush with this stuff. Start to look to the right, but give yourself that resistance so you can really enjoy that lengthening and strengthening that's happening all at once. So we're contracting the muscle, so then when we exhale and release, we get to allow that muscle to relax. Left hand comes back. Think of looking over to the left. Keep sitting tall. Notice if your posture is compromised. And then release. Let's do one more each side. So the right hand towards right side of the head and just looking to the right, but not really. And then release. And then last time over to the left. And release. When you're ready, roll those shoulders a few times. Good. And then coming into stillness. Right hand back to the right side of the head. So this time we're thinking about the action of the right ear coming to the right shoulder, but again, we're giving ourselves that resistance so that we can't do it. So think about bringing right ear to right shoulder and give yourself that little resistance. So we're still tapping now into the muscles on the outer side of the neck on the right side, and then release. Let your right hand come down. Left hand onto the left side of the head. And think of left ear coming to left shoulder. Again, be kind to yourself here. Just go to the edge that really works for you. Find that sense of tension inside and release. Good. Let's go back to the right. So we're doing a few reps each side. And if and when you choose to do this on your own time, you can do up to 5 to 15 reps, just depending on how you're feeling that day. Slowly release when you're ready. Let's come back to the left side. Breathing in and breathing out. So finding this tension so that the muscles can relax as you exhale. Release, left hand down. Let's do one more right. And release. And one more to the left. And release. Good. Pause here. Roll those shoulders a few times. Awesome. And then just switch out your legs before we get into this next stretch. So now your non-habitual or probably the uncomfortable leg is in front. So getting nice and cozy in that space. All right. Take a moment again to bring your hands to your hips. Draw your navel in, feel neutral through the pelvis. Make sure you're not tilting forward or back, but you're really neutral, shoulders stacked above hips. Belly is drawn in. Bring your arms out to the side like a cactus or a goalpost. Feel the front ribs pull in just enough so that your abs are a little bit firm. And then we're just squeezing the shoulder blades together. So reach the elbows away like you're trying to hug them toward each other on your back. And just breathe in and out here as you get that really great squeeze. And then release. Let the hands come down. Roll the shoulders one at a time. Just really work it out. Yeah. Awesome. And then coming into stillness, bring the arms out again. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Now when we're squeezing them together, be mindful to not pop out your front ribs, but draw the low ribs in a little bit. That'll give you even more resistance on your back. And then release when you're ready. Let the hands come down. Roll the shoulders, just alternating one at a time. This can start to bring a little freedom around the ribs as well. And of course, in and through the neck, because there are so many spaces and places that can get stuck. And then let's pause here. Left hand is coming up and back like you're patting yourself on the back. Now, you don't need to actually be able to pat yourself, but if you can, just think about that left elbow facing up to the ceiling. But your elbow may look more like this, okay? But just bringing that left palm towards your back as best as you can. Yeah. And then we're bringing the right hand toward the left side of the skull, or even the back of your skull. Whatever is easier for you. I like to grab the outer side. And then think about looking over to the right knee. So the opposite knee, and then draw the neck away from the shoulder. So this is where you may find cupping the back of the head better. It really just depends on what's happening in your shoulders. But the idea is to think about pulling like your forehead toward your right knee. Keep that left elbow facing up to the ceiling. Nice deep stretch there. And then when you're ready, slowly release right hand, slowly release left hand. Do those alternate shoulder rolls. Isn't that nice? So the areas we're getting into with the neck here and for the next little bit of a series is basically we're creating freedom for the nerves and the muscles that pass all through the collarbones, all through the upper part of the ribs, because so much tension gets trapped in the traps, yeah, when you're ready coming into stillness. And let's reach that right hand up and over, give yourself a pat on the back. So the idea is that that hand that's behind our back, it helps us think about our shoulder blade pushing down, okay? But again, it doesn't mean that it needs to happen. Your right elbow could be facing kind of forward. We're just practicing getting it up. And then the left hand, again, could come to the back of the head or the outer right side of the head, whatever feels easier for you depending on your shoulders. But looking towards that left knee, and then think of drawing your forehead toward that knee, giving yourself a little bit of resistance on the back of the head, feeling that length through the neck, breathing in, keep that right elbow facing up, breathing out. Another breath in, and then slowly release. Hands come down. Head and neck nice and neutral. Let's go back to the left side. So just bring that left hand up and back, palm onto that left shoulder blade. Right hand, again, if you can, bring it to the back of the skull as you look to the right knee, or if you need to, have it on the side, but we are trying to look to the right, so be kind. Bring the forehead toward the right knee, keep the left elbow shining to the ceiling, and really create that space in the back of the neck. It's like a nice big massage. And then slowly release when you're ready. Breathe in. And then we'll go back to the other side. Breathe out. So right elbow faces the ceiling. We look to the left knee. Left hand comes to the back of the skull, or again, could be to the outer side if you need help giving your head a little turn. And then draw that forehead to the knee. Keep right elbow facing the ceiling. Nice big stretch here. Breathe in, breathe out. You may find your body temperature goes up as we go in through these deep stretches, simply because we're tapping into areas that are often kind of skipped over. And then when you're ready, slowly release. Let the hands come down and do those alternating shoulder rolls again. Oh yeah. Beautiful. All right, let's come into stillness when you're ready. And then just nice and easy, we're shifting onto the knees. So you could lean back and sweep your feet to the side. You might be able to just cross over the legs. Whatever it is that you need to do, go for it. And come up onto the knees. So if it's uncomfortable on your knees, we will be doing a few things on the knees here. So you might want to have your blanket for some extra support, okay? So give yourself a moment to get all set up. Awesome. And just moving nice and mindfully here. So we're up on the knees when you're ready. Your hips are stacked over the knees. Now bring one hand onto the pelvis and one hand just behind the sacrum. And all we're doing here is just feeling our hips neutral in space. So pull your belly in and notice again, like, is your bum pushing out? Are your hips kind of pushing forwards? Get them neutral. So when we have the hips neutral in place here, we will feel some action through the core. We will feel some action through the legs, okay? So it's not lazy, but it's not overactive either. Now, from here, let your hands relax when you're ready and slowly bring your right foot forward. So we've got right knee above right ankle, left knee below left hip. Good. Now bring the arms out like a goalpost or cactus. The right arm is reaching out to the right, palm face up. Excellent. Now reach the right fingers down toward the ground. Breathing in, breathing out. Now you could slowly bring your left ear toward your left shoulder. Maybe your left hand comes to the outer edge of your skull on the right side. Breathing in. And then breathing out. Slowly release there. Let your arms relax by your sides. Do those alternate shoulder rolls. Yeah. Awesome. From here, come into stillness, draw your belly in, and slowly return that right leg back down to the ground. Excellent. Keep the belly nice and firm. Left foot comes forward. So again, we have that nice, easy lunge. Beautiful. Arms come back out in that goalpost position. Fabulous. And now that left arm goes out to the left. Palm face up, fingers reach down. Yeah. And then the right ear can move toward the right shoulder. Right hand can come to the left side of the skull. Big stretch there. And then slowly release. Let the hands relax down. Nice. Roll those shoulders. Come into stillness. Draw your left knee in, nice and easy. Beautiful stuff, okay? Draw that belly in. Neutral pelvis. Stay nice and stable. The right foot comes forward again. Let your right hand come onto your right knee. So your right arm is nice and straight. Release your left hand, palm faces the wall behind you, and reach the left arm back. So that left hand reaches to the wall behind you, palm facing back, and then cup the left hand as if you were holding on to a tennis ball or something imaginary. Reach that left hand back. Breathing in, and then breathing out, think about your left ear moving toward your right knee as you look gently to the left. Breathe in and out here, nice and easy. Beautiful. And then ease off, let the left hand relax and bring it behind your back, behind your sacral bone. Draw the belly in and your right hand comes behind your skull. So keep your belly in and then gently bring your chin to your throat. Your right hand is just there as a little bit of extra weight on the back of your head. Your legs should still feel pretty strong here to keep you stable. And then slowly release Bring your right hand back onto your right knee. Release your left hand and once again reach the palm to the wall behind you and cup an imaginary ball. And then slowly think about your left ear moving toward your right knee. So just look toward your right shoulder. And then slowly release everything. Come back to center. Mindfully, that belly core is in. Feel that heat building. Right knee comes back. Yes, lots of unlocking that beautiful hidden tension today. Draw that belly in. We've got neutral hips, neutral pelvis. That left foot comes forward. Nice, easy lunge here. Left knee above left ankle, right knee below right hip. Left hand onto the left knee. We keep ourselves nice and drawn in through the core. Stay tall. The right palm faces the wall behind, and we reach the right palm back, back, back. Find your edge, and then cup the palm like you were holding on to a ball. Your thumb is in, yeah? So the top of your hand faces down. Make sure your thumb is inwards. Full breath in. Full breath out. Then from here, slowly draw the left ear kind of towards the left shoulder as we look over to the right a little bit. Breathing in and out. And then slowly release. Come back to center. Slide the right hand behind the hips, behind the sacral bone, and the left hand behind the skull. We're nice and tall. On an exhale, as belly draws in, chin draws into the throat. Nice big stretch for the back of the neck. Breathe in, breathe out. And then gently release so your left hand comes back on your left knee. Your right arm is relaxed by your side. Thumb faces the body. Your palm faces the wall behind you. Slide the palm backward and then imagine like you're hanging onto a tennis ball or something back there. Breathing in and out. Neutral spine. Core the belly in. And then maybe just start looking over to the left shoulder now. Nice and gentle. And slowly release. Come back to center. With control, your left knee pulls in, hips lower onto the heels, and just give yourself a moment here, breathing in and breathing out. Good. All right. So from here, let's come into a tabletop pose. We'll work on some hip stuff now before we dive back into the neck. So we're in tabletop pose. Hands are underneath shoulders, knees are under hips. Now keep it easy. And before we go too much further, make sure you have your blocks nearby so that they're easy to grab. We don't need them yet, but do make sure they're easy to grab. And then bring your right foot forwards in an easy lunge. And if you've been in classes lately, this next little bit will be familiar to you. The right toes are pointing out and over to the right now, okay? So we have external rotation happening with that right femur bone. Bring your right hand onto your right knee. Your left arm is straight and strong. If your left wrist feels tired, pull your belly in so you can take weight away from your left hand, okay? And then just do your best to rotate the chest toward the right, and you can gently feel your hips pull slightly back. Maybe your right hand reaches up to the ceiling and you can open your chest here, nice and big. Full breath in. And when you're ready, on a breath out, gently bring the right hand down. Right toes face forward and bring your right knee back and down. Excellent. Left foot comes forward. Left toes point out to the left. So take your time. Though these movements might seem really simple, they can be very deep on the body, especially if you're rehabbing an injury. So be kind with yourself, because we are aiming to open these pathways of movement in the most kind way possible. So we open our chest, maybe the left hand onto the left knee, core that belly in. Maybe you can feel your hips move slightly backwards in space, just a little. Left hand could reach to the ceiling, and you could open your chest a little bit more. Big cycles of breath in and out. Good, and then slowly bring that left hand down. Let your left toes face forward and bring that knee back and down. Lower your hips to your heels and just find child's pose for a moment. This is where you may want to use a block. Stack it for your forehead. Pausing here. And just rock your head side to side. Whether your forehead is on the block or the floor or whatever, just gently rock side to side. And then we'll come all the way to stillness. Nice and gently set your block aside. And we'll come back into table pose. Make sure your knees are under your hips in your table, and then bring your feet wide. So about as wide as your yoga mat, they can even go wider. So we have internal rotation with both of our femur bones now, and then move through cat-cow. So arch the back up, really pull your navel in as the thoracic spine reaches for the ceiling. And then inhale to look forward. And you may feel limited movement here. That's okay. Do 2 more rounds. Arch that back up. And dip the belly down. Good. 1 more round. Follow your breath, really getting into all those tight spaces of the hips. Excellent. And then neutral spine. Return the feet back to a neutral place. Your belly is drawing in, and your right foot pulls forward again in a lunge. So we want the right knee above the right ankle. And now we're bringing the left foot out to the left. So we have internal rotation with our left femur, and then the right toes are pointing out to the right. So external rotation with the right femur. Your left palm is down on the ground. If that feels too challenging, you could put your left hand up on a block, but see if you can keep it on the ground. Right hand on toward the right knee to start opening your chest again to the right. And then possibility of right hand coming up and behind the skull now to help open your chest. You could look slightly upwards, and maybe your right fingers extend to the wall in front of you, and we can tap into the muscles on the outer side of the neck as we get into the muscles of the hips as well. Keep that left arm straight and strong. Feel your hips pull gently backwards in space, the tiniest little bit. And then when you're ready, slowly start to look down to the ground. Bring your right hand down. Your right toes slowly face back forwards. Your left toes come back neutral. Bring your left, or your right knee rather, back down to the ground. Sit your bum back in child's pose just for a moment. Again, maybe you want to use your block under your forehead. Good. Okay. From here, setting the block aside, we come back up in our table pose. And we're now drawing the left foot forward in a lunge. And then the right toes spiral out to the right, so internal rotation of the right femur. The left toes point out to the left, external rotation of the left femur. Choices: you could have your block under your right hand if you liked that option for the other side. Otherwise, left hand onto left knee, and we open the chest with the right hand on the floor or the block. Beautiful. And then from here you can choose to stay, or that left hand could reach up and then behind the skull as you look just slightly upwards, feeling that length on the neck. If it's available, the left fingers could extend fully forward to the wall ahead of you, palm face down. The hips move back just gently in space. Excellent. Gently look down to the ground when you're ready to bring the left hand down. Your right toe or left toes turn to back forward. Your right toes come neutral. Left leg comes back when you're ready. Child's pose, bum to the heels. Relax the forehead down. Rock the head side to side, just gently here. Coming all the way back to stillness. Breathe in, breathe out. Awesome. Okay, so coming back to table when you're ready, make sure your knees are underneath your hips. And then we're lifting the feet and sending them both over to the right. So both feet are over to the right, and then just look to your tail over there. So looking over your right shoulder, and then relax the head, bring the toes back through center and all the way over and down to the left. Look over your left shoulder. Find the toes. Good. And then slowly come back to neutral with the feet, with the head. And then just move the hips over to the right and look over your right shoulder. So feel a little oblique squeeze. And then come back to center and do the same thing to the left. Good. And then back to center. And now once again, the feet go to the right. We look over to the right. And then back to center with the head and with the feet, and then send the feet to the left and look over that left shoulder. Beautiful. Now come back to center. The right hand is threading the needle. So we're threading the right hand under the left arm until our right shoulder comes down and the right side of our head comes down. Let your left hand just support you here. If you can stay here. Think of opening your chest and again looking slightly upwards. If it's available, inch your knees toward the right a little bit more and your toes slightly to the left. So you get a deeper lean in toward your shoulder, opening the whole outer side of the right ribs as well as the hip. Your left hand could reach up and overhead, planting the palm on the mat toward the top right corner. So this is a big, big stretch. And then we'll back ourselves out. So gently bring the left hand in to plant it in front of your face and pick yourself up. Bring your knees back to a neutral place. And now from here, we're planting the crown of our head toward the ground and just rolling around from side to side. Gentle little rocks and little circles, releasing any tension of the fascia around the skull. then gently come into stillness and back into your table. Going into the other side, so that left arm threads over to the right, allowing the left shoulder to come down. So of course, you can pause here. These extra little adjustments are just if the body is ready, and we've done lots of body priming for these movements. So notice what suits you. You may be able to inch your knees to the left just slightly and your toes slightly to the right, so you can look gently up, really getting an amazing stretch for the thoracic region of the body. Maybe the right hand reaches up and toward the top left corner of your mat, and you can get a big stretch there through the right side as well. So all this stuff is also creating that freedom in the neck, or perhaps allowing us to see where the tension is still hiding. When you are ready, slowly and gently slide that right hand back in toward you, and then press into the right hand to come up into your table, and then lay the crown back down and just do nice supported rolls around the top of your head. Gentle rock side to side. The less habitual, the better, to work through that tension through the fascia on the skull. Beautiful. And then coming into stillness and gently come back to seated on your shins. Breathe in and out for a moment here. All right. One more big full body move now that we've been warming up for. So this next sequence is going to be working, of course, the hips, of course, the neck, and we will get a little bit of opportunity for some extra thoracic release as well here. So we start up onto the knees, and we will want a block here and put it on its highest setting, just outside the left hip. Great. And then bring your right foot forwards, nice easy lunge, and turn the right toes out. So you could bring that foot just slightly wider if you need to. That left block is still just outside the left hip, so it's easy for you to place your left hand on that block on its highest setting and reach the right hand straight up, and then maybe lean back a little bit. So you're kind of like puffing your chest out. Nice big breath cycle in and out here. Is that not super fantastic? Breathing in and breathing out. When you're ready, slowly bring the hands back down to the mat. Bring a breath in and then a breath out. Bring your right knee back and down. You might want to set that block just a little bit further away. We're opening both feet wide. So both feet are wide. Do one round of cat. Upper back reaches for the sky. And then breathe into cow. Good. And then neutral spine. Tuck your toes. Gently push your hips back. Let your heels land in and your toes out. So it's almost like a goddess stance. And then walk your feet, or your hands rather, back in so you're relaxing. So your knees are bent, your hands are toward the mat. Now if hands on the mat is too much, you could bring your hands back up to your thighs, okay? You could also even reach for your block and have your hands on your block, but that is quite a bit more challenging. Another breath in here. And then as we breathe out, look into the hands. Let your heels lift to bring your knees slightly in and down. Whoo! Untuck the toes. Bring the knees back and the feet back into a neutral place. Yowza. Come up to standing on the shins. Grab your block. It's going over to the right side now. Excellent. So then bring your left foot forward and open those toes over to the left. Once you're set up, then your right palm can come onto the block, whatever's comfortable, but your right hand is down. Left hand reaches up, and then open your chest. Nice and big here. So we're getting into the hips, of course, but that extra chest opening can really help tap into the neck and shoulders. And then gently release. Start to bring your left hand forward and then your right hand forwards. Again, you may want to set that block aside. Undo that left leg and bring it back. Open the feet. So the knees are still under hips, but the toes are wide. Do a round of cat-cow again. So arch that back. And then dip that belly. Beautiful. Neutral spine. Tuck your toes. Gently press the knees and hips up. As it gets comfortable, externally rotate the toes so your heels come in, your knees bend. You walk your hands back in space. Allow your head to relax at your edge, or again, you might want to bring your hands to your hips. You might want to bounce into your hips a little bit, just gently. This is super fabulous for supporting length in the low back and getting out of those gunky areas of the hips. When you're ready, slowly start to shift your weight back forwards. Let your heels lift so your knees pull in and down. Feet back neutral, hips to the heels. Breathing in and breathing out. Beautiful. Okay. From this place, sweep the feet out from or over to one side so you can get onto your bum. You might want to move your blanket. We are coming to laying down on the back, but we will have our knees bent. But if you have any issues happening with your lower back, there's a chance you may want to have your bolster or pillows nearby for when we do get into Shavasana, because it will be great to have the support behind your knees to alleviate tension in the back. And of course, you can leave your knees bent when we get to that place. So having your blocks nearby, and then draw your belly in, maybe hang on to the backs of your thighs so you can easily lie yourself down. Okay, so we'll just do a little more jazz for the hips here. Grab your block, and we want it on its widest setting, so as wide as it will go, and bring it between your thighs, like the part of your thighs that's a little closer to your knees, okay? And get your shoulder blades flat underneath you. Your arms could come out in that cactus position, goalpost position, or you could have your palms flat down so your arms are in a T position, whatever is the easiest for you. Keeping your feet flat on the mat, gently start to squeeze your block. Gently. Start really nice and easy, and then add a little bit more resistance, and then ease off. Do it again. Start very slowly, bringing pressure. Pull your belly inwards. Squeeze that block a little more. Keep your belly pulling in, and then ease that tension again. And then one more like that. Start a gentle squeeze. Squeeze a little stronger, and then ease off. Excellent. Bring your knees a little closer to your chest so your feet are now off of the mat. Keep your feet as wide apart as your knees are, okay? So don't let your toes come together here. Keep the feet apart. Gently squeeze the block and then lower the knees toward the right without letting them touch the ground. Your left shoulder stays down. Find a little squeeze of the block and then come back to center. Very gently. Give the block another little squeeze as you lower toward the left. So just finding your edge. These movements can be very small. Just keep your shoulder blades flat on the mat. And then come back to center. Mindfully lower your feet down. Grab your block. Good. Now from here, we want the block on like the medium setting. And then just draw your belly in, lift your head, and set the block under your head so that your neck has all kinds of space. So it's really just the back of that occipital bone that's hooked on to the block here. Arms relax, and then just rock your head side to side. So it's on the medium setting, and you're getting a really nice rock side to side, or even the lowest setting, I should say. That would be even better. Good. And then coming into stillness. So for this next part, we want the block as low as it will go. And then lengthwise on the back. It takes a moment to get into, but we're sliding the block between the base of the skull and the top of the shoulder blades, basically. So we want the head kind of falling off the top of the block. And we now have the base of the occipital bone is kind of just hooked on that top edge of the block, and the top of our back is supported by the block as well. And then just slowly rock your head side to side here. This can put some really nice depth into those pressure points at the back of the skull. All of the muscles of the neck connect into these spaces. So allow yourself to enjoy those pressure points as they can offer freedom for the nerves that pass through and freedom for, of course, the neck. So just gentle rock side to side. Maybe you want to hang out as you kind of press the left corner of the block into the skull, and then maybe you roll to the right and you feel that pressure point on the right side and just enjoy being there. This can be fabulous for alleviating headaches as well. So just a couple more times, side to side. And you may even feel gentle pulls behind your scapula or shoulder blades, as it's all connected. So notice what you notice. Eventually come all the way to stillness. Mindfully lift your head up enough, your chest up enough so you can slowly just roll off the block. And just gently set it aside. Coming into Shavasana, allowing the head and neck to get nice and neutral, so maybe use your hands to help out. Again, if you've got issues going on with the back, you may want to have your bolster behind your knees. You may want your blanket to tuck yourself in to stay nice and cozy and warm. And when you're ready, lengthening the legs down, if that's available for you. Shoulder blades are flat. Closing the eyes. And scan through the body here. Noticing the spaces that released, noticing the areas that stayed a little bit stuck. And simply start to breathe into these spaces of the body, of the mind, and just suggest a little bit more freedom, a little bit more inner space. And also notice the sensations through your body. You may notice a light tingly sensation throughout your entire body, a new sense of lightness or awareness, as we have really started to pull the fascia in different ways. So those old dark bits of tension had real opportunity to let go and release here. So notice what you notice. Feel your breath move through every cell. Feel your practice resonate through every cell. And bring some loving gratitude into yourself for your practice, for connecting to your body, for improving that mental strength. And when you're ready, just moving nice and slow, just spread through your toes, just your toes, and maybe get a little longer through your legs, just a gentle little stretch there, and then settle in again. Then spread through your fingers and get an extra little stretch through your arms as you reach the fingers away. And settle in. Notice all the inner space you have created and become aware of this evening. And then when you're ready, we'll bring a nice full stretch into the body, reaching the arms overhead. Fingers and toes reach away from one another. And then relax. Gently bend through one knee at a time. Bring them into the chest for a lovely little hug here. Be very kind. Just rock side to side. We went quite deep into those hip sockets. When you feel ready, just super gently roll to one side, whatever comes naturally. And then gently press yourself up. Coming into a seated position. Sitting nice and tall. And let's bring the palms in front of the heart in prayer. Noticing how you're feeling here. Tapping into all that beautiful freedom through the neck and through the hips. Let's draw a full breath in of loving gratitude to ourselves. And a full breath out of loving gratitude for everyone else. And thank you for our lovely rehab and restore class part 1. Thanks for being here. Namaste.
Namaste.
Whew. Awesome. So thank you for joining. I hope you feel wonderful. And that, of course, was really quite a rehab session in itself. So feel free to do this. You know, you could do it every day until the next class comes out. You could do it a few times throughout this week and just see what else opens up for you in the neck and in the hips. And that's all for now. So I look forward to when we shall meet again, and I hope you have a superb rest of your day or evening. Much love. Bye. Thank you.